So the top 150% trick to reach division 1, and you reach division top 10 very easily, very easily with this trick. I've talked about a couple of tricks in the past video, and this one I would re-emphasize something I talked about in the previous video, that is air balls. Now your players, that is AMF, CF, the left finger forward, right finger forward, they should have weighted pass. Weighted pass makes your lofted through pass balls very hard for your opponent to intercept if you give lofted through balls, not just lofted passes, but then lofted through balls. To give lofted through balls is the same technique for giving a long ball, but then you apply the loft through pass technique to that lofted pass. But to avoid the delays that happens, I just do a clear ball. So basically, so the trick is that you need the ball to be in the air. When the ball is in the air, your opponent is very likely to do a mistake. That's it. You need the ball to be in the air. And people with smooth games in Division 1, they have a high chance of doing those weighted passes. They are going to lob the ball in the air, and you will notice that the ball will just pass by your defender. It's just because of that weighted pass skill, and it works perfectly if you have smart assist. So that's the skill you need to know, but I'm not going to waste my time doing that in every situation, because I know the lags, the delays that can happen and certain kind of matches. And this kind of match, I know how my control should work, and it's not working the way I want in this match, so I'm just going to adapt and adjust and play it with a different technique. So that is what is very important if you want your air balls to be effective. If you have the weighted pass players, just make sure they have the weighted pass skill, and then be given the lofted passes. That's what most people do, and it's very easy to penetrate your defenders if you don't get the angle right. As I've said, getting the angles right in this football is very important. If you don't get the angles right, there are very small mistakes, small tiny mistakes that you'd be making, and you'd end up conceding from those goals. So it's very important. If you don't want to clear, have that weighted pass skill for a left winger forward, right winger forward, and AMF. And to defend against that lofted balls, you just have to be getting your angles right. There are sometimes that you are not able to intercept the ball, so you get pissed off and you enter. When you enter, that is when you're opening to do that lofted pass. So it's about relax and just going back and try and avoid those lofted passes. Otherwise, you'll be conceding those lofted passes left, right, center, forward, everywhere. I've talked about the kind of defenders you should use to help mitigate that lofted passes. So around 170 to 182 centimeter defenders are very good, because instead of they using their head to head the ball, they would rather use their body and legs to win and then clear the ball. That is why you need the short defenders as well as very short attackers. Gullit, on the other hand, the reason why I'm using Gullit is he has a weighted pass skill. That's why I'm using him. And the weighted pass skill only applies if you are doing a lofted pass. Even though I've not done a lofted pass in this match, there are a couple of matches I've done the lofted passes that you'd probably see in the next videos. But that is what I mean. If you want to win a lot, you need a weighted pass skill, and I'm not using a weighted pass skill effectively in this match because I know it will delay me, but I'm still proving a point that if the ball is in the air, you have a high chance of successfully attacking your opponent. That is why the weighted pass balls are able to penetrate your defense and you can't do anything about it, because when the ball is in the air and you don't get the angle right, you'll be messed up. And one simple way to get the ball in the air is by clearing, and you'd have to clear the right times. There are certain times you have to pass, but I clear. Like that situation, I had the ball with my DMF. I could have passed, but I cleared because I've noticed the kind of delays and stuff that can happen. So yeah, see what that clear ball I cleared with the DMF led to. So that's it. Make sure you have the balls in the air. If the balls are in the air, you have a high chance of making your opponent rage quit. Next match, and I'm probably gonna use the lofted passes in this match if I realize it's smooth. So let's see whether we are going to give the weighted pass or not. And I'm not talking much about defending, because by now, if you've seen the previous video, you should know that the tips and tricks you are using for defending. Very simple. Very simple. It's simple, but you have to get the angles right. It's simple. If you don't get the angles right, everything is cost 90. I didn't get the angle right over there, and how smooth your match is at the point in time also affects whether you get the angle right. If the match is not smooth, you are going to get the angles wrong, and there's nothing much you can do about it. You just have to, if you really want to win, you have to struggle to get the angles right, but that's not worth it. It's not worth it. I just want to upload a couple of videos and explain the tips and tricks you should use. Other than that, there are certain goals I would make my opponent concede. I would make my opponent score them, because I don't want to frustrate myself and getting the angles right. If you really want to win, then you'd have to get the angles, the slight movements right. But if you want to play for fun, then you can just relax, just play as you want, and for attacking, you just clear. At that point, I had to get the angle. It's very slight. I still want to get it right. All of that makes it difficult, but yet still simple if you have a very smooth match. And let's try and do the comeback. True pass, and yeah, easy 1-1. See, I started with a lofted pass from the back. Yeah, sometimes I would do a lofted pass, but the lofted pass, the weighted pass doesn't have effects on the lofted pass. The weighted pass has effects on you doing a lofted pass but a true pass. There are two types of lofted pass: a normal lofted pass and a lofted true pass. If you do the lofted true pass, that is when the weighted pass scale, you'd see the effects of it. And that's basically I need to say. Now I'm just wondering what opponent would conjure. I pause the game to do certain stuff. I wonder what it's going to conjure. I wonder. And what is he going to conjure? Nice. We have a nice chance of attacking with this lofted. And wow, I missed that. That player missed that. I didn't miss that. Okay, so he gave a curled corner inside, and there are delays in the control. All of this, when you take it into account, you just realize that sometimes you just don't have to pass, you just have to clear, depending on which kind of match you are facing. And there are some times too you don't have to be, well, there are few times that you don't have to clear. You realize that even when I don't clear, I do a lofted pass. I do a normal lofted, because the ball has to be in the air. If the ball is in the ground, the angles that the ball would pass sometimes is insane. It doesn't make sense that the ball should be going in certain angles, which makes your opponent intercept the ball. That is a lofted pass. So if the ball is in the air, the angles is usually right, and the opponent cannot intercept it. So your player for giving such ball should have the low lofted pass and weighted pass skill. And it's very, very important that the person shouldn't have the pinpoint crossing. If that player you are using to give, there are two types, not two, but then there are three types. There is pinpoint crossing. If the player has the pinpoint crossing, then certain kinds of lofted passes is going to use the pinpoint animation or technique. You don't want him to use the pinpoint animation. You want him to use the normal standing, and then he gives the pass. The most important thing is the pass going in a certain angle that the opponent cannot intercept. And move backwards. The opponent's abbreviation is run. And oh yeah, 68 minutes. I just clear and try get our angles right. True pass. No time to delay. And there are certain balls when your opponent play and it's in the air, you don't even have to head. You don't have to head it, because you head it and the opponent would jump over you. There is a trick for that, and the trick for that is you don't input any command, you just move backwards when the ball is in the air and you realize that your defender is not close to the ball. You just move backwards. And I wanted to quick double tap, but it became another pass. This is what is not nice at all about this kind of matches. Your controls, both the left side and the right side, are equally affected by it. And this opponent too has paused. I don't know if he would probably be thinking about forfeiting. He didn't forfeit, probably made a change. Under normal circumstances would have gone to tight mark the new change he has made. He changed Johan Cruyff and brought Antoine Griezmann, but I don't have time to do that at the moment, and because I'm not so focused on winning this particular one, I want to give him a chance. Other than that, I'll just go straight ahead and then tight mark. It's also at the end of the match, so and move back. That's it. That's a very, very simple trick, and let's see what happens.